Yo, how's it going, everybody? How are we all doing for today? Today's video, I wanted to talk about my top 10 list for teams or squads in the game for not just GAC, but for really all-around uses. But I really want to make a huge point for GAC because these are teams that you want to build up for GAC in particular. And this kind of was brought to my attention. I think Cubs did a video, was it like a week or two ago? And he did something about this, the 10 squads, the top 10 squads in the game. So I saw his list, and I'm like, you know what? I agree with some, I don't agree with some others. So this is my list I want to make for today with what I feel like is some of the best teams from number 10 all the way up to number 1. So, let's just talk about it. So we have a lot to talk about here. Let's go straight into it. So number 10 is, for me at least, going to be Grievous. Grievous is a GAC staple. But also in TBs, they can be a lot of different stuff for your dark side missions. But GAC, though, they pull good teams. Although if you're at a spot where you're like me, you already have a lot of GLs, you're going to have to deal with some Kylos and Reys. Then maybe you can just solo this team with one of those Kylo or Reys to kill a GG, right? But if you don't and you're kind of stuck with using a different counter, well, it can still pull a good counter like a JKR. It can pull a Padme. It can pull even a gas and clones as well. I mean, those are some really important teams that a Grievous can pull. So the defensive nature of this team is still very good and viable. But also on the flip side for the offense, these guys can still beat a lot of stuff. The only downside as to why I never like these guys on the offensive is, for one, well, mine are kind of garbage, but for two, they just lose a lot of banners, right? They lose a lot of banners. They're kind of playing around the Grievous with his bonus turns, somebody dying, then he goes, he does a big AoE, some big damage, he kills some guys, right? So I don't like it for that part for offense. But another nice little offensive thing, if you guys do happen to fight this team, which is a JML lead Jedi, these guys, if you have some good relics, you can actually beat that GL Luke team, which is kind of crazy to me. So I think, with all being said, I still think that they're a great team, but just not the best. So that's number 10 for today. Nothing too crazy for the Grievous. They're pretty standard, right? Next up, though, is the Bounty Hunters. And this could be a lot of different stuff here. I'm not going to just tell you for really any of these teams. These are the set in stone teams and lineups. These are just ones that I like the most and where I use them the most. So for like the Bounty Hunters, you could use a Jango Fett lead, you could use a Mando lead, you could use a Bosk lead, right? The best two, though, in my opinion, are Bosk or Jango Fett. You can get a lot of contracts going with those two, and the bonuses you get from Jango lead are very great. And actually, if you wanted to, you can have some nice relics on these guys, have them with the right turn order, and you can kill some Darth Revan's if you have. I think it's a Jango Fett lead, which is kind of crazy. The extra speed is really huge. Also, with Queel in the game, these guys get even better because of all that extra turn meter gain that you get from his I Have Spoken special. But the biggest thing about the Bounty Hunters is their offensive capabilities. These guys can counter so many different stuff. They can counter Grievouses. They can counter Padmes. I've seen them counter some Darth Revans, like I just mentioned. Night Sisters, a lot of different stuff in the game. They are great for a lot of stuff. The only ones I would say to kind of watch out for are ones that stop your turn meter gain. And I learned this the hard way. I'm not sure why, but in a recent GAC, I used these guys versus a Hux crew first order team, and I don't know why. I just get no TM and I lose. So watch out for stopping TM on enemy teams. But for sure, the turn meter and the turn order, rather, for the Bounty Hunters is something to look into, because if you have it set up properly, you can get a nice train going, easy contracts, and maximizing your damage and maximizing your banners as well, which is huge. So great offensive team, but also defensively the same kind of stuff. They are great for defense. A Jango lead is going to do some great things. Having a Nest in there as a 5th will do some awesome stuff for you guys. So that's Bounty Hunters. The other one, so that was number 9. Number 8 here is Padme, and I know Padme's low on my list. I feel so bad, but like, I think there's so many better teams out there. Honestly, I do believe. You got to keep in mind that this is for GAC and other uses in the game, other reasons for these guys. But for GAC, though, in particular, I really only use Padme on defense nowadays. I don't really use her on offense, mainly because it's kind of the same stuff with Grievous. I can't really regain as much banners back, and there are far better teams I could do that with. So I just defer to use her on defense, because also on defense she can pull some great teams. She is very similar to that of a Grievous, where she pulls a lot of great teams, and it makes it harder for the opponent to have to clear your board. And I've had with my new Relic 5 Barris in there as a 5th, it allows me to save my 3PO, allows me to save my GMY for different teams, and it's gotten some holds recently, which is very nice to see. But Padme also on the offensive though, she can be a lot of different stuff in the game. Darth Revens, JKRs, mirror matches, JTRs. She stops the assists and the counterattacks and all the attack out of turns. It makes it a lot harder for the enemies to kill her. So she can be a lot of stuff. She cannot, though, beat any GLs, which is kind of unfortunate. But she can beat pretty much anything south of a GL. It's a very good of a team, a very strong team. So that's Padme. She's great. And also, she's great for the TBs, guys. She's a very big part to the light side TBs. So she's amazing for that. The next one here, though, is going to be Mon Mothma for this one. And Mon Mothma is coming up at, let's see, that's 7th, right? 10, 8, or 10, 9, 8, 7. So, yeah, she's 7th. So, Mon Mothma and the Rebel fighters, they can get some awesome stuff done here. So, this is the team I use at the moment, but you can toss out the Wigs, the duo for the Wigs, the dynamic duo, right? And toss in a Chupio, you can toss in a 3PO, you can toss in SRP, you can toss in a POW, you can toss in a K2 Cassian combo. I mean, there are so many different people you can swap in and out of this lineup that makes it so good. It makes it just so fun to play with as well, because these guys are not only great on defense, but like on the offensive, they can counter array if you have the right guys built up with the right relics, and also other teams. The only thing on the defensive side of things that you got to watch out for are the Traya, because Traya hard counters the Mon Mothma teams with all the extra assists. But if you wanted to, you can definitely bait out a Traya, and then like a Geo's in the back wall, so that way they don't have another counter to that team, which won't give them good banners, right? Or an easier win rather. But like Mon Mothma, guys, she can counter a lot of stuff. She's great for defense as well. If you if you have the right turn orders in really any defensive team with these characters and these squads, you're going to maximize the usefulness of these teams by just so much. Like having a fast car, for example, here allows you to get out in front of the opponents before they even move, and then you get a whole train going. It's crazy to see these guys work in GACs, and especially in the light side TB, guys. She's a great team. So that's Mon Mothma, number 7. Number 6 is Darth Revan in the Sith Empire. These guys are an offensive powerhouse. They still are to this day. Ever since they've been released in the game, they've just been amazing stuff. So they are great for offense. They can counter a lot of different stuff. You guys know these guys. These guys, they're great. Defense, same things as the other ones. They pull strong teams and counters, which is what you want to have for your team. They're a bit lower on this list, though, because I still think with these newer guys we've gotten recently, they are just far better with what they can counter. For GLs, though, they can counter a JML, which is very nice. And also, you have, BSF, you have Darth Revan, you can toss in and out of different teams and just flex them a lot with, having them with Vaders. You can have them with EP teams. Or if you want to use Malik with Rey, that's great too. There's so many different uses for them, but just straight up Sith Empire team, they can beat a lot of stuff still in the game, and they're very great on defense, for me at least. I love them on defense. So that's them. Next up here is Gas. I'm showing the other ones. The next one here is Gas in the 501st. So this one is great because these guys are still great in GAC. They're great in TBs. They're great in really any mode. And the nice thing about them is they're so flexible. They're so flexible. You have the clones, and then you have Gas. And with Gas, you can use him either in this team or in a different team with Jedi and JKR. Or with Padme. There's so many different uses for Gas nowadays. You don't have to have him with the 501st clones. And actually, what I like doing, my favorite thing to do rather right now, is using JKL with the rest of these clones on defense, and then save my Gas for a JKR team in GAC for offense. But if you don't want to do that, you want to save JKL for a different team, well, you can definitely do a Shock T-led 501st clone team, and then use Gas somewhere else, because I do feel like Gas is very powerful on the offensive. He can counter array, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But just for these guys, they are great for offense and defense, great in the TBs. These guys actually unlock you Kedi Mundi if you have at least Shock T with the other ones as well. Kedi Mundi shards, which is a great character. I got mine Relic 5 recently, and he's amazing. So definitely these guys are awesome for GAC, and just really all the way around the table for the game. So that's them. And next up here is where we're going to get into some spicy stuff, because These are ones I don't have built up the greatest, but with what they can accomplish in the game, they can do so much for you. So this is the troopers, and the troopers, they're crazy, guys. These guys are insane. They now, with especially with Moff Gideon now in the game, they can beat so many stuff. It's crazy. But before Moff Gideon, they can still have beaten a lot of stuff, right? They're so powerful. As long as you have a fast Stark and a Piet, you're going to get out in front of the enemies regardless of what happens. The only thing you got to worry about, again, is the turn meter and stopping the TMR, or stopping the TM gain for your team. Like, for example, the Hux again. Hux stops TM gain for your team. And anybody else that stops your TM gain, you cannot use this versus. But this works very well versus anybody that you can get out in front of that allows you to gain TM. And it's crazy to see what these guys can do. You have Piet here. He has the Emperor's Trap. That gives out even more offense and potency stacking whenever you take a turn. And if it's a full Empire team, you get so much of those stacks going for you. They can counter so much. I would say they can nearly counter everything south of a GL. And also, they can counter a couple GLs. I've seen them counter some Lukes. No, not Lukes. I think I've seen some Rays and also the Emperors in particular. So those two GLs are pretty awesome to see these guys work against. But like the investment into these guys, they're nothing crazy to me. I don't see these investments super hard for the gear requirements. They're a pretty accessible team, and they can do so much for you, right? They're so great, guys. And it's very simple on the gearing as well, and rather the modding as well, because you just need to have a couple of these guys that are very fast, and then the others modding them just for flat on offense and CD and CC, all that sort of stuff, right? So it's a lot of fun to use these guys, and they're very easy, relatively easy for me at least, to get going. So that's the troopers, and then next up here is number 3 on this list, and that is going to be CLS and the Rebels. So again, these guys are kind of like the troopers in a sense where they are so great on the offensive, but also the reason why they're a bit higher is because they are so great on the defensive as well. This team right here is probably the best CLS team in the game, with having a Chewpio in there, 3PO, Han, Chewie, and then of course the CLS lead. So many counters, so much extra stat sharing between Chewpio and the rest of the team. And then you have the craziest thing in my opinion, which is the exposes from 3PO. With the Rebels, whenever they do a basic, you give out even more exposes, which just deals so much damage, guys. You can beat GLs with this. You can beat the Master Lukes with this. Depending on the Kylo counters, you can beat some Kylos. I've even seen some Emperors being countered as well. And then anything below that, you can still counter. You can beat Gasses. You can beat Darth Revans. You can beat Padmes if you have this whole team built up. You can beat so much, guys, so much. This team is one of the strongest offensive teams in the game. And also, for the TBs, these guys are going to get you some easy 4 out of 4s as well. And their ships are great. I mean, I haven't even talked about ships much in this video, but like ships are great. The Akbar, the MILF, great stuff. But like CLS Rebels, so great on offense and amazing on defense. They pull a very strong counter on defense as well. So that's the CLS team. And then now we get into the top 2. And you guys might disagree here, but like for me, this is like a no-brainer. With how I use them in GAC and all that sort of stuff, and TWs and all that. So number 2, you already saw number 1. I kind of just peeked it at you guys. But number 2 is Jedi in general. You know, I saw Cubs talk about JKR. I saw him talk about a JKL team, but I want to kind of mix the two into one because they are so flexible. You can use them in so many different variations in GAC. So like you can use JKR lead rather with JKL and the other Jedi to kill a Kylo. Or you could use JKR Gas and others to kill a Rey. Or if you wanted to, you can use JKL lead with clones. You set them on defense. Or you can set, you know, JML with the other ones. Like, there's so many guys you could use here. JKR, JKL with the other GMY. There are so many different uses for the Jedi. They can be so many different stuff. They are great for killing GLs. They're great even for defense. Like, I use the JKL clones on defense. They can do so much for you guys. They're crazy good. But like, yeah, these are just all Jedi in the game, not just one particular team, because I feel like that's just kind of it's not that nice to just share a little, you know, little peaks of the team. Just show like the entire what they can all accomplish, right? The whole Jedi faction. They're so good. JKR lead, JKL lead, Bassa lead, even they're just so great. They can counter GLs like nothing. They can counter a lot of different stuff below GLs as well. They're so powerful. And then of course, for number 1, guys, the last one here. This one is like a no-brainer to me. This is like when I saw in Cubs' video, and I'm like, how is this not number 1? It is Vader and the Empire. So Vader is just so dang good because like He's a GL killer. He kills all GLs. There is not one GL he cannot kill. He is the GL killer. And for that reason alone is why he is so good. He is so good for that reason alone. And that is exactly why he is number 1 in this list, because he can kill GLs. He can kill, I mean, nearly everything else below a GL. He can counter Darth Revan's, Padme's, Grievous's, Jedi even. I mean, a lot of different stuff, guys. So, like, nearly every strong team in the game, he can counter in some mix match team comp. So, like, for sure, if you were to use a Vader team, you want to have him with Thrawn as well as a Watt Tambor. And you could use Watt with the Separatists and the droids, but he is far better used with the Vader team. And then also, you can toss in a Piet if you don't want to use him with the troopers. Like, let's say you don't have that trooper team built up like me. You can use him with the Vader team. Or if you want to, you can use a mixed match of other Sith like the Traya and also BSF there as well. And even like the GBA. I mean, that's a great use of a tank there. There are so many different team comps you can use to build around a Vader to kill a GL, which is just crazy to me, guys. And there is no reason why he should not be top place in this list. He is easily my number 1 pick for top 10 teams and squads in the game. So that's him. Now I'm remembering, I forgot for the Jedi that you can also use JKL lead in the TB missions to get an easy 4 out of 4s as well. But Vader for TBs, great use. You can use some EP with him. But just Vader in general, so great at killing GLs. He is going to give you so much bang for your buck, guys. He is incredible of a character. And the modding, it is a bit particular, but once you get it nailed down, you can do so much with it. He is so versatile, guys. He is incredible. So, guys, that's probably it. I think that's about it. That's all the ones I want to talk about today. It's a bit of a lengthier video, but like I think this is like a good list, at least a good benchmark to go and share with you guys, at least from where I stand as a GAC. I fight GLs all the time. I have to deal with these guys all the time. And so like when I'm thinking about a list for a video like this today, I'm thinking about, for my GAC experiences, my TB experiences, where are they going to be the best used and where they have been the best used. And so I based off of that, and that's my list for today. If you guys disagree though, and if you guys want to let me know down below in the comment section, or join up in Discord and let me know there as well. Maybe you agree with most, but you disagree with a little bit. I would still love to know your guys' opinions on this. But yeah, this is a video I wanted to make from Cubs. This is a video he did a couple weeks ago, and this is my take on it. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a like, share it around, and sub to the channel if you guys are new here. Check out the Discord and the Patreon links down below in the description. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, I will see y'all later. Peace out.